Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the NXT Party. I am, of course, your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
And tonight, our special guest is a return guest. We've got the Archangel, James Hebert. How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you for having me back on. Next time I have a better microphone. Hey!
Nice.
Works out nicely.
Now, tonight we are reviewing NXT UK episode number 23, which was okay.
Yeah, I was about to say it was moderate because we're heading into Blackpool relatively soon, so it's winding down, is what it is.
We've got this episode and one more episode, the go home episode, episode 24, right before. Let's get this right. NXT UK Takeover Blackpool.
Yay!
By the time we get it right, it will be over.
Yes.
Speaking of NXT UK Takeover Blackpool,
It's just gonna keep saying it.
we are going to do a predictions video for that. That should be up on Friday. This is probably going up on Thursday. Well, no, this is probably going up on Friday. So look for that today, sometime after this video gets posted. It should be myself, Jerry. We're going to have 4 people on the big screen, all up there like the Brady Bunch. So it'll be a 6-person panel with predictions. Biggest panel in No DQ history.
That's right.
I'm really excited about it. Also, we are going to have a review video on No DQ for NXT UK Takeover Blackpool. So we're going to review it, and hopefully on the big screen for the review will be the king of No DQ himself. It's not guaranteed at this point, but we're working on it. So cross your fingers. That ought to be fun.
Oh, it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Was going to do it live, but I don't think we can do it live. However, if I can get enough subscribers on my channel to actually want to do this live, it's the only channel I can do it on is the one that I post all these videos on first before they get onto No DQ. That's Aftermatch Wrestling. Aftermatch is all one word. AFTERMATCH Wrestling. And if you want to go subscribe, and if you want us to do the review live, we can do that on that channel. It'll be after that it goes on No DQ. But anyway, back to NXT UK.
We go right into a match first thing.
Yeah, not much of a match. This is like jobbers versus jobbers.
That's what kind of actually that's actually what kind of got me excited for the match, was the fact that we had 2 jobber teams. Like, okay, somebody's gonna come out on top here.
You would think, unless this is just to set up some Gallus. Somebody to come out.
Gallus comes out and just wipes out all 4 of them.
Yeah, completely interrupts the match. Double disqualification.
Amir Jordan and Kenny Williams, I didn't even. What? I thought this was going to be done after the last string of losses, but apparently they're still going with it. So.
Well, Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan get their first win as a tag team, and they said that on air, just like I think either team would have gotten their first win as a tag team.
You think they just won the gold medal at the Olympics?
Yeah, they were super happy.
The way they celebrated it.
Yes.
Like, oh my God!
We're number 12. We're number 12.
We're not the worst tag team.
We participated.
So at this point, they're like 3-1, I think, or something like that.
I was about to say 1 and 3.
Now I've got notes for the end of the match, because Kenny Williams, like I said, he seems really stuck in the mid card. He doesn't really have a look to me that says he stands out anywhere. But he can be fun to watch in the ring. He does that drop kick through the ropes, holds on, skins the cat. And normally he would run back and run back out for a suicide dive onto the same opponent. But in this case, he had somebody in his way. So he does this victory roll facebuster onto them, one of the 2.
Yep.
And then does the suicide dive. And right after the suicide dive, we saw Amir Jordan come off the top rope with a swanton bomb?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. It was like the Kenton bomb. You remember when Anderson used to do it? Because the way he did this, it was like he almost necked himself.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, God. Oh, boy.
I always liked the way that Sean O'Hare did it.
Oh, Sean O'Hare was a
Sean was
badass.
great.
The double neck, whatever you call that,
Yeah.
like on his way down.
But
was
what I liked about it, like Sean O'Hare's one, was the fact that anytime he landed, he always do that roll through right afterwards. He just cut almost like the Superman pose or the superhero pose, just boom.
So,
yeah, God rest Sean O'Hare, man. He was super underrated.
do you have any notes on this match other than that spectacular ending?
The ending was awesome. I mean, Kenny Williams just like a house of fire, and then that really scary looking Swanton bomb was really cool. Really there wasn't much to that other than your typical heel team got the heat on Amir Jordan for the most part. I don't even remember the names now, to be honest with you. I don't know what the other team's name was.
Jamie Ahmed and Dan Maloney. We didn't even mention that.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say, Dan Maloney has not gotten a win, but at the same time,
Neither is Jamie Ahmed.
neither is, yeah. But at the same
Neither
time,
is Kenny
Dan
Williams or
Maloney.
Amir Jordan. Somebody had to get their first win here, and it's awesome.
yeah. Dan Maloney, I saw actually go for almost like a Three Amigos type thing. The two suplexes, and then he followed it up with a double arm underhook suplex.
I must have
Yeah,
been.
dude,
that actually looked pretty good.
It was actually butterfly suplex.
Oh, butterfly,
three
yeah.
butterfly suplexes in a row.
Yeah, it was like a good sequence, but at the same time, it wasn't gonna win him the match.
Well, the hat trick never won the matches.
No.
Maybe if Brock Lesnar did it to you, but his hat trick is
I always
like
wanted
11
to see one
Germans.
end with a fisherman suplex, you know? So.
Well, I think that only has ever worked for Mr. Perfect.
It's true.
Well, I was gonna say, like, we actually have that on. We actually made that in 2K14 for our show. Actually, we actually have the Perfect Amigos, and we put it on like a female wrestler. So
Pretty cool.
Sweet.
funny you mentioned that.
I miss Creative Finisher. I tell you, I miss Creative Finisher. So next up, we had a video recap of the NXT UK Championship contract signing from last week. This sets up Gallus to come out and do a promo in the ring. All three of them. Joe's on the mic, of course, and it's same old
Just Joe
shit.
talking.
It's same old shit. I have nothing here. They basically announced that next week or next episode, episode 24, we're going to finally get the six-man tag that we've been waiting for since like week number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Gallus versus British Strong Style. That's Pete Dunne and Mustache Mountain, who is Trent Seven, and don't tell me Tyler Bate.
Yes!
Woo!
Gallus is Joe and Mark Coffey and Wolfgang.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes I remember.
Well, it's finally getting to the point where we're learning these wrestlers' names, we're learning their backstories, and we're actually have gotten used to them. We're actually starting to get somewhat invested to the point where we're like, hey, I know your name. I know
Yeah.
your moveset.
I know
This is
your
gonna be
faction.
awesome.
I know who you're feuding with.
I have one gripe. The only gripe I have. I wish Mark Coffey could talk in this, because he never talks in any of the promos. It's usually Joe Coffey or Wolfgang.
It's usually
Joe Coffey about 80%, Wolfgang about 20%, Mark
Yeah, and then
never.
Mark never, except for like one backstage segment where he did really freaking well for himself. And I'm like, why doesn't he cut more promos
So
often?
Joe Coffey is the road dog. He does all the hype, all the promo.
I think if there's ever like the brother versus brother feud, we'll see a lot more come out of Mark Coffey. But for right now, all the focus right now is on Joe, and rightfully so, I think.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, he is the main guy in that, but it's like, Adam Cole's the main guy in the Undisputed Era, and yet Bobby Fish still cuts a fucking promo.
Yeah.
Just saying. You know what I mean? Like, that's my only gripe with it. It's like, why can't Mark say some shit?
Some extra mic time for Mark Coffey would not hurt at all, really.
Maybe back
Yeah,
in the
no.
classroom. Put him on the mic when he's ready.
Well, especially also the fact that like if they're gonna pass Wolfgang and Pete and Mark Coffey as off as a tag team, one's gonna have to start talking more. So.
Then again, there's been tag teams where one guy's been the Enzo Amore and Big Cass.
Zach Gibson and James Drake.
Zach Gibson's 100% of that.
Yeah, but yes, but then you get there is like backstage interviews where you have like what's his face, James Drake does some talking.
Well, at least Joe can talk on the mic even though he's slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be worse. All three of them could be really bad on the mic, and then where do you go? Then you got to have a manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. Sid Scala turns heel. He's the GM, but he's also the manager of Gallus. You know, like
that would be
some shenanigans happen to Johnny Ace, so Sid Scala has to take over.
Johnny Saint.
Johnny Saint. I haven't done that in a few months.
Laurinaitis.
So, up next, getting away from my faux pas.
Mom, your attention, please.
So, up next we have the Women's Championship title match press conference. This is different. It's not a contract signing. It's not in front of a crowd. They could retape this and retape this and retape this, and they must have gotten the perfect tape because this was both fun, entertaining, and a little intimidating. Rhea Ripley looked. I fall in love with her a little bit more every week.
So relaxed. Her feet up on the table
Until she got pissed off.
Hat turned backwards. Yep. After she started responding, she put her feet down.
After they said that she was a ripoff of Toni Storm.
Oh.
she got up quick. Oh. They asked her how she was going to win, and she's like, "Are you serious? Like, I'm going to sit here and tell you how I'm going to defeat her while she's right there?"
She went kind of Miz. She was like, "Really? Really?"
Yeah, totally Miz. This was fun.
Ripping off Miz's stick. Miz is pissed.
Well, I didn't realize that she'd Toni Storm more or less lost her feeling in her extremities and her legs, and that's why she was crying at the championship match.
That could be kayfabe too.
I don't know, man. That looked actually pretty legit, but at the same time,
she was crying legit.
Yeah,
but she was also moving around and shit. So I mean, that could be kayfabe. They could be smacking a little extra on, just for sympathy and whatnot. Take what you got and use it. And so just I take that with a pinch of salt. If she really couldn't feel her lower extremities, I think they would have called the match.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hurt her back really bad on that. Although it got me to thinking, and this is completely off topic. I'm sorry, but
this is the place for it.
Tommy Dreamer always breaks his fall with his ass.
Yeah.
All these females with these freaking voluptuous behinds, and they can't break their freaking falls with their ass.
I think if you make a habit of that, you risk your tailbone, your coccyx. So I don't know if I would make a habit of breaking a fall with my ass. Maybe your hip, take one at a time, trade off.
Well, I mean, if you have enough cushion in your ass, then it won't get to that point. I mean, Tommy Dreamer proved that for many years. I mean, look at him. He's still wrestling today.
My favorite part in this whole segment is the fact that, at one point, Toni Storm rattled off the list of women that she beat in the tournament to actually become the winner of the Mae Young Classic.
Oh yeah.
And Rhea Ripley's like, Rhea Ripley's like, "You didn't beat me though."
Yeah, you didn't beat me. You did not beat me.
I beat you, but you didn't beat me.
They didn't list off the people freaking Rhea Ripley defeated in the UK women's tournament. Yeah. At all. There was no mention of that, which I was like, what?
Well, they don't need to. She's the champ.
She's the champion. She doesn't need to say anything else.
All she needs to say is, 1, I'm the champ. 2, I beat you to get the championship. I beat you once. You haven't beaten me, so that's all we need to know. But then when they compared her to her and they're like, oh, you're a ripoff, she's like, she basically stood up and said, fuck you, man.
Pretty much.
I mean, basically. And I believe in Rhea.
Rhea's good shit. Love Rhea.
She's gonna knock the bangs right off of her.
So next up we have one of my little dark horse favorite spots of this whole show was a video promo. What I liked about this was it was something different that they have not done yet on NXT UK. And one of those video promos where it's a promo not necessarily for one guy versus the other, but it's a promo for 2 different wrestlers that are going to be fighting each from their own perspective, but overlapping through the video to show this possible feud, because it talks about how they had been partners before in independent wrestling, how they feuded before in independent wrestling, and now it's come to UK, and so they have this history, but it was done so well.
Yes.
Those two superstars are Joseph Connors and Ligero.
Yes.
Yeah, this cannot be the typical Kevin Dunn production, because this actually felt like it was, different. Like it did. None of the promos in NXT UK feel the same, and I noticed that, especially with this one with Connors and Ligero. It was like they really went after to build both guys up and build their history up, and then build the upcoming matchup. And they did it so masterfully, I thought.
We're getting a match like next week, but at the same time, it feels like something that's been bubbling on for months. Even though we're just really now getting into the feud between these two. It's not even a feud yet. We're just getting a first match, and it's already looks like it's been built up for so long. And I'm excited for it now.
Well, this is the first promo that's really hit me as this being something very different and special since the very first episodes of NXT UK with the Eddie Dennis promos.
Oh yeah.
But those were extremely cookie cutter.
Yeah.
I mean, as basic as it gets, but they were still somehow something different.
Mm-hmm.
This was completely outside the box as far as your typical video promo goes.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself, I think, drew me into this even more than them talking about their history and what I already know of these wrestlers. Because Joseph Connors may have a very bland name, but I am big on this guy in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Love his finisher. Love what he can do out of a cradle. I wish he did more moves out of a cradle.
Mm-hmm.
And Ligero is the closest thing you're going to find a babyface winning competitor on NXT UK is the best way to put it, because you've got the guys that win and the guys that lose.
The heel to face ratio there is pretty insane at this point.
The funniest thing to me about this is I think what really helped everybody's perception on this feud that just kind of got built up really within a week is their character development before this match was even announced. And that's what I think sets apart why this promo was also really good, is because they actually built up Joseph Connors in the dark rooms, cutting these, weird skating promos on all these shiny toys, and Arrow being one of them, as he referenced, and it was really well done there,
Well, to me, it was very reminiscent of some recent Cassius Ohno promos.
Yeah.
Which kind of took away from the luster. But that second promo, or the latest promo that he did before this video package, was quite better, because he was talking about why he was alone, and the facade that NXT puts up, where it's NXT UK, we are NXT,
Yeah.
And he's like, it's not we, it's me. I'm alone in this, and I'm going to start taking people out by myself.
Yep.
Which fits into the story that he's told since he got there, because he got there as a tag team competitor that couldn't quite find a tag team partner, and took out his tag team partner, and now he's just looking to do some stuff by himself.
A little editor's note, Saxton Huxley.
Who does not impress me.
He used to team with James Drake, too. Ironically enough.
So, we're going to move on to our second match of the night. We've got Isla Dawn versus Xia Brookside.
Match started, still don't know how to really feel about Isla Dawn. Granted, I know they're trying to make her, I guess, a face. I'm not sure. But her
She's not, to me.
That is not the character at all.
No.
Should be face. And then, you look at Xia Brookside, and you put her up with a super baby face. I mean, who do you think... And in Liverpool, by the way, where she's fucking from. Who do you think...
She's 18 years old. She is literally babyface.
Yes.
So... so you've got babyface versus babyface. There is a lot of chain wrestling in this match, which, other than eight handshakes before the 8-minute mark, or the 3-minute mark, whatever it was that we had the other night.
We had
all those handshakes.
We had the first handshake, and then it did a little bit of chain wrestling. Then there was another handshake. It's like, we get it. You respect each other. Keep going.
I can't remember what match that was, but it was a couple episodes ago. So we've got the chain wrestling and the show of respect. The match ended with chain wrestling. The very peak of what you can do with roll-up pins and the counters thereof that counter into other roll-up pins from standing positions, from supine positions, just every which way you could do a roll-up and counter it.
Bridged up, everything.
And then it's just right at the very end.
Right, and finally Isla Dawn catches one and gets a 3 count.
Yeah.
And Isla Dawn wins. Did I have any moves?
Well, I had a couple. I had that nasty-looking head scissors at one point.
That was awesome.
It was nasty looking in that great way.
It wasn't a tradition. It was head scissors lock, but she rolled it into a DDT onto Isla Dawn.
Yeah.
This was Xia Brookside. Xia looked great throughout this match, but I kind of figured Isla Dawn was going to win. They're building her up for her eventual match against Jenny, because Jenny got a win, I believe, last episode.
Yep. And then we also had a very nice surfboard / straight jacket out of Isla Dawn as well.
That was
that was actually that was a really great submission move, I think, or at least a good wear down move. So
they both traded that too. Like Xia and her just kept trading the straight jacket finish. Yeah, so that was cool. I mean, it was just kind of
wrestling
weird
to the max.
It was just the funniest thing was I felt on commentary like Vic Joseph was like, "Oh wow, Nigel, you're smiling ear to ear for this." And he's like, "You're damn right, it's a classic." And it's like you're implying that he was known as a tactician, but in reality, Nigel was more known for his hard-hitting style.
Yeah.
What I noticed about Nigel's commentary was when he commented on their physiques.
Yes.
And I'm like, Nigel, you might as well just say their bodies, man. He's like, oh, if you notice their physiques, one of them's got the power game. And I'm like, so you're saying one? Oh, God. Anyway, Nigel, you dummy.
You naughty man.
You naughty Nigel. I look forward to one episode a week of Nigel.
Nigel.
So
he's turning into Jerry Lawler by the minute.
Pretty much.
So the finish of this match, Isla Dawn counters a victory roll.
Yeah.
That's how she ends it. She leans back and gets the 1, 2, 3, and then the handshake and the hug, and I'm like, dude, will one of them just kiss the other? We've seen the respect and all of that. Just like, when are we gonna see some RLA, some respectful lesbian action? Just something. Change it up, and if you're gonna change it up, some respectful lesbian kiss. Just one. That's all we need. Start on the cheek, work your way from there. I'm just saying, we've seen the respect. They're not going to let the dudes do it, so let the women do it. I'm not saying there's not an audience for that. I'm sure there's an audience for the dudes having a respectful, homosexual kiss. But they're not going to do it.
No.
But we've seen hot lesbian action on WWE TV. How about some respectful lesbian action? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's PC. It's the PC era, man. It's not 2003 anymore.
So up next, we're going to promote Eddie Dennis. And it's a video promo.
Dennis actually scares me.
Oh,
he legitimately scares me.
He would scare me more if he wasn't doing this whole badass, serious, crazy promo with these big nerd glasses on.
Well, he had the nerd glasses on for a while, and then he got more maniacal as it went on, and they finally came off his face.
Yeah, that's why I was scared and shit. I'm like, oh God.
I was telling him it's very much like Jekyll and Hyde. He wants to will still remain professional and whatnot, but then the monster comes out more or less.
So I figure next week we're going to get a video package for Dave Mastiff.
And we didn't.
No, I figure we'll get it next week. They'll save both of them on both shows, and we'll see them at the pay-per-view.
I enjoyed this promo just because, exactly what Jerry said. I like the whole Jekyll and Hyde aspect where, he's actually intelligent. That's why he has the glasses. When he takes them off, is just this vicious killer. I think even Nigel, in his match with Dave Mastiff, several weeks ago, mentioned like how he was intelligent as well as like a beast in the ring.
He was a principal, or the youngest principal ever in wherever he's from in the UK, and it was at a private school, so he must be intelligent. But yeah, I like the roar that he does when he sticks his head through the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
He looks very maniacal, very Green Goblin-ish.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like I said this last week, and you called me an impatient bastard. I'm actually, this actually got me kind of reinvested in the whole street fight we're going to be getting between, or no DQ match we're going to be getting between Mastiff and Eddie Dennis. It was actually getting kind of stale to me. It really was. Yep. And all of a sudden now, I'm zoned back in. I'm tuned back in. I see what's going on here, and I'm ready for it.
Mm.
So up next,
I was already into it because I got to hear Dave Mastiff's freaking badass entrance theme. I
just like watching the camera shake.
Yeah, like anytime he stops and like, make it like it's an earthquake. I love that.
Yeah, that's some
so
fucking
good.
Jurassic Park kind of fucking cinematography right there.
I still remember that first episode. You're like, man, he's actually making the camera shake. I'm like, are you sure you're not just doing that for effect, Stefan?
Oh man, the story gets a little bit different every week.
Yeah, Dave Mastiff, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
So, up next, we've got him backstage. Isla Dawn, after her win, is backstage and she gets attacked by Jenny. And Jenny says some stuff.
She pretty much says there's a difference between being a witch and a queen.
And Isla Dawn completely no-sells the attack in her facial expression.
Say, like, is this even a beatdown? Like, she's literally, it just looked, you were talking about lesbian action earlier. It just looked like it was heading to that. I'm not even gonna lie.
Isla Dawn was looking up, like she's seated on the ground after the attack, and she's looking up, being held up by her hair. But she's looking up at her just like, oh, okay. Like, all right.
That's how it is?
It's like,
all right.
Like, she didn't look like she was in any pain or any distress or nothing. She's just there. And Jenny, of course, saves the day. This is the second time in a promo that Jenny has made up, well, not made up for necessarily, but helped.
Rescued.
Rescued, there you go. Isla Dawn in her very vanilla ways. So, after this...
And vanilla skin tone. What?
After this, we get match number 3 of a 4-match card, my favorite kind of hour-long card. Mm-hmm. We've got Damian Weir, anybody smell a jobber? Versus Jordan Devlin. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where he's like, I wonder if we're going to see a Uranagi and a moonsault.
So they come out, and I always write down the names of the competitors as they come out. I want to do it in order. I want to, just my way of keeping track of who came out first. Little things like that. So I write them down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and underline Jordan Devlin, because that's how I signify who won, because I know he's going to win. And I'm like, should I go ahead and write down Uranagi into standing moonsault, pull up into back body driver, and I think those are the only two. Well, Ireland's call, of course, for the pinfall. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, let me wait. You never know. We've had them, get the knees up during the moonsault, shit like that. So I'll just wait. Oh, we get Jordan Devlin's greatest hits, all right.
Yep. They're not exactly, the 5 moves of doom from John Cena, because these are actually entertaining, and he changes them up every now and then, puts them in different orders.
Oh no.
Yeah, Jordan is really good in comboing his moves, but they're also like they're the same moves he busts out like most matches, I mean, same thing with all wrestlers, but this especially in jobber matches is just like, well, here comes Jordan Devlin's greatest hits. Uranagi, moonsault, Uranagi.
My favorite part about Jordan Devlin is my complete distaste for him.
Yes.
When they showed the graphic before the match, when I know that a WWE Network commercial is coming on, something like that, sure enough, I'm looking at his face, and I'm just like, I just want to punch Jordan Devlin in the face. and Jerry's like, I know, man. I know.
You see, he does have a very punchable face, but hey, I mean that makes him a good heel. He's doing the job, right?
Oh, he's doing a superb job. The only time the only modification or anything I may have seen differently on the moves that he usually does is when
that slingshot into the cutter.
That and Damian Weir trying to go for the suicide dive and
Enziguri.
Getting that almost Enziguri type Pele kick to the face from the outside. Like that's the only real variations I think I saw in that match. And
I've got notes for both of those. If you hadn't mentioned them, I was gonna.
Yeah, and Ireland's call always like this time actually looked really good.
Well, Damian Weir was small enough that he was manhandled just fine.
Yeah.
And of course, with such a short match, we're gonna get an after-match promo by Jordan Devlin, who takes a while to get a mic. Somebody get this man a mic. I believe they said that on commentary. Like, what the fuck, man? Somebody's got to have a working mic.
Where's Scott Steiner when you need him? He would have demanded that already.
Thank God it was something different, though. Because he doesn't get very many words out. And who comes out?
Flat-faced Travis Banks.
Old triangle head. It's like one of those Phineas and Ferb dudes. Look at him from the side. He looks like that fish that's like triangle where the face is just flat. Just from his profile from the side. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if we're gonna get that match. Like, we'll probably get like after. I'm thinking
we're either gonna get it next episode, which isn't the likeliest of things, because that's Jordan Devlin literally wrestling twice in front of the same crowd.
Yeah.
On the same night, might get it. I'm sure this man knows, but he has promised not to tell us what's coming up on episode 24. Or we might get it as a dark match during the pay-per-view. We might get it as one of the matches of the pay-per-view.
Hey, all I'll say is this. I mean, it's not like he had much of a match here to begin with anyway.
No.
Just saying.
So up next, we get a video recap of the last time we saw Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews facing Zach Gibson and James Drake. Zach Gibson and James Drake won with some shenanigans.
From Eichner.
And that is what it is. Any notes, any comments on this? Because we're going to get in the main event. This is just to promote the main event, which is coming up almost next.
Yeah.
And that's Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster versus Zach Gibson and James Drake. This is going to get them, this is the semifinals. It's going to get them into the finals at the pay-per-view at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool for the inaugural Tag Team Championships.
Yep.
But before that match... Oh, go ahead.
Before we continue, people gotta start coming up with tag team names, man. Like, this is... I mean, we got Gallus, we got British Strong Style, granted, but, like, we don't...
Even Gallus is the faction, not necessarily the tag team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like, ridiculous.
I like Gibson and Drake. They go well together. Gibson and Drake. You don't even need their full names.
Gibson and Drake is fine, but, like...
Any tag team with Flash Morgan Webster, the man with 3 names. That's why I call... any tag team with him needs to have one name for the tag team, so it's not his 3 names plus this guy's tag name plus his 2 names, Esquire.
Yep.
Yeah, God, like, to me, like, they should have just called them the Mod Fathers. It shouldn't have.
Something.
Like, it's easy enough. Like, I know that's also, it's actually, Flash Morgan Webster's name, but you could use it for freaking Mark Andrews, too. I mean, he's a rock star, and he freaking flies around the ring for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So just go with it.
Before that main event, we've got Radzi with Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate. Bate.
Yeah, Bate.
Yeah. So, Mustache Mountain doesn't fear anybody. They don't care who wins. They were the only tag team, as we've said, with a name even. They're the only real tag. So, yeah, they don't care who wins.
I already had in my mind who's going to win this coming match anyway, the main event. Like, because I already got that match set up in my head for, but I also thought we were going to have a different start to it. I actually literally thought, like, since Eichner and Bartel were not allowed to be at ringside for the match or appear at ringside, that they're going to take out either Webster or Manager at the beginning of the match.
Do you
before
think?
The match.
Okay, so I have to reference NXT that we just watched earlier and did the review on. You can watch that. It should have gone up yesterday. That's the What's NXT review. featuring these two guys right here. We saw Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel in a tag team match.
Yeah.
On NXT in America.
Yeah.
Was that Johnny Saint's way of keeping them out of that tag team match?
That's something else I thought about. It's like okay, you guys, still have a chance of actually screwing this up. So I'm gonna send you to America.
So
we're going to Florida for the week.
The same night that we on the network see that tag team match, we see Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner on NXT. So we're like, oh, they're in America. Yep. They can't interfere. They can't attack anybody before the match, even after the match. Nothing. So on to the match, because Mustache Mountain just basically says we're gonna bring it.
Yep.
At NXT UK Takeover Blackpool, we're gonna bring it. They don't even say they're gonna win. They're just
it's like yeah, we're gonna bring it, which yeah, if you're in it to win it, you need to say it.
Yeah, I mean you gotta get in it to win it. So saliva, man, you gotta get that song going. Gotta get in it to win it.
Well, you did Nigel McGuinness. That was his catchphrase in Ring of Honor. It's like I'm Nigel McGuinness and I'm in it to win it.
Nice. So, on to the main event. Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, the man with three names, versus Zach Gibson and James Drake.
I gotta talk about their tights for a second. Gibson's got his name written on him. Drake's just got, like, his face. So I'm starting to think Drake can't read.
Ass face. He's got his face on
it's like, these ones are mine.
They have my face on it. I know that face.
He's like...
He checks it in the mirror.
No, just imagine some of the skits that they could do just with that. Like, just, you got James Drake looking at his tights, and he's like, and Zach Gibson's just like, what are you doing? He's like, who's that?
He doesn't talk. Maybe he's mute because he can't read.
He talked on He talked on his first match in NXT UK because they had a little video package for him. But otherwise, he is stayed shut because Gibson does all the talking for him.
So Gibson and Drake look like a full-fledged tag team here. Even commentary mentioned how well-oiled they looked.
Yeah.
And it showed, like, they started off the match just very brilliantly separating Mandrews and Webster.
Yep. Completely had Mandrews, like, isolated for almost, like, the first 4
But not only isolating him in the corner, but at the beginning, taking the opportunity to just keep knocking Andrews off the ropes.
Yeah.
Just keeping him down for as long as possible. And they hit this Doomsday device, which that early in the match, you know it's not going to be a pinfall, but it was still fucking beautiful.
Mandrews actually landed on his knees after being clotheslined off of him like that, and I was like, ow, that just does not look good either. So,
so Flash was the one they were keeping off the apron.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. So eventually, the man with three names gets the hot tag. Not the first hot tag of the match. This was a 10, 11-minute match, something like that. But he comes in awesomely, does this fucking springboard backflip, takes out both guys, and then eventually they get the upper hand again.
It's like, basically, I thought they were going to be doing a lot more with his shoulder since it was like so heavily taped up and looked like it had been worked over.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they barely tacked it. I was like, how did they not improvise this in the match, like, at all?
Well, maybe his shoulder is actually hurt, and so they're trying to stay away from it.
Well, I think it was also a red herring as well to kind of like throw us off. It's like, okay, the match is going to end with Shankly Gates. Because that's what I was thinking the entire time. I was thinking...
Nah, this is for the tag team titles. It's going to end with that amazing finisher that they have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, so Flash Morgan Webster, he gets this running senton off the apron onto Gibson, goes right back in the ring. He does this pedigree facebuster to Drake. And you know what? For as much damage as Drake takes in these matches, these tag team matches that we've seen so far, he could take some punishment.
He is a resilient mofo.
He kicks out of this. He kicks out of... Mark Andrews does an assisted 450 splash. Standing 450. The man with three names gets behind him, grabs one foot, flips him forwards. 450 splash. Near fall. Well, that was Gibson, I think.
First time I ever saw that was with Jack Evans, and that guy does mad amounts of flips, but Mandrews always does something really neat and innovative in each of his matches, and This was no exception. He actually did a flip over the top rope into a Dragon Rana as well.
Yeah, this was after he gets the hot tag. Like I said, it wasn't the only hot tag of the match. He does that splash. Gibson tries to get him in the Shankly Gates, but he gets out of it. But he ends up taking a ticket to ride.
Yep.
Kicks out. That was impressive.
That was
And for those that don't know, a ticket to ride is basically a code breaker, double knee code breaker.
Yeah.
And then
I love his suplex, by the way, too. I don't know if that's next, but I really like the whole counter of the suicide dive and then freaking ramp suplex.
Oh, we're not there yet. That's
Gibson
toward the end
does.
of the match.
We're almost
So
there.
up next is where Mark Andrews counters. Basically, Gibson and Drake go for the Doomsday device one too many times. So you know that story. As soon as they go for a second Doomsday device, you're like, something screwy is going to happen. So Mark Andrews ends up countering, gets onto the top rope, and he Hurricane Rana's James Drake off the top rope into Zach Gibson.
Almost like a senton, but almost like the way he hit Gibson with it.
And then after that, Flash Morgan Webster comes off the top rope with a swanton bomb onto Gibson and Drake. Like Zach Gibson stacked on top of Drake.
Yep.
And Webster comes off onto his back. That was brilliant looking. Let's see. And then we had, what would have been an amazing finisher. Mark Andrews comes off the ropes with a running knee, like an enziguri knee, into Gibson. Or no, it was one of them.
Flash Morgan Webster came off with the knee, and then.
No. Andrews came off with the knee. Flash Morgan Webster did an inverted.
That's right, the inverted Hurricane Rana.
Yeah, Hurricane Rana pile driver.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the inverted Hurricane Rana knee combination. Yeah, that was sick, and I think that was to James Drake as well, because he was legal by that point, and I think. What's his face? Gibson was on the outside.
Well, no, I think that's where they went for the pinfall, but that's where Gibson pushed Andrews into the pinfall and knocked Flash Morgan Webster off.
That was a damn close call.
So Gibson ends up on the outside, and this is where Mark Andrews goes for the suicide dive, and Gibson catches him and does what they call the helter skelter, which is kind of like a twisting vertical suplex.
Yeah.
Into the ramp.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude.
And that was the last you saw of Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
And this is where the commentary team's like, well, Flash Morgan Webster's got to do something because he's by himself now. And he tries, but he ends up on Drake's shoulders and catches this wicked thrusting, whatever you call that, double chop to the throat, and then transitions right into the tombstone setup.
The
But then thrown up into
ride,
the ticket to the ride, and 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the match. And fuck, that's an awesome finisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. One of the best tag team finishers actually today. It's basically it's a lot like what was the Revival's finish? It's basically like that.
The Shatter Machine.
Yeah, the Shatter Machine. It's basically a lot like that.
Well, the Shatter Machine set up like a Dudley Death Drop is.
Yeah,
This one's set up.
This one's set up like a.
To me, I like an assisted finisher, but a lot of it depends on the assist. Like Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, they have that assisted draping DDT, which is, I believe, Danny Burch's actual finisher that he does off the top rope. Yeah. In this case, he just does it off of Lorcan's shoulder. That's not an assist.
No.
You're just standing there. In this case, this is not only an assist that actually seems like it means something in the move, but it is very innovative, I believe.
Yes.
So I love that finisher. I'm really hoping that these guys get the tag team championships. I don't know if that's going to end up being my prediction, but we will see, I believe, soon. Once you've seen this, chances are you will be able to see the predictions video. That should be going up shortly. So
around these parts,
yeah, that brings us to the end of the main event.
For this show, we have instead of our 5-star general review that we have for the NXT What's NXT, we have our 5 spots of tea.
Yes,
and we always rate the main event. So we'll start with the Archangel James Hebert. How do you rank this for 5 spots of tea?
I would rate it a 7, and it would be an 8, but
Out of 5?
No, no, out of 5.
Yeah. Wow, you're getting into some. I don't even think Meltzer's ever given an 8-star review.
What is this, metric? What the hell are you doing?
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, he just said pretty much Dave Meltzer just kind of broke his rating system.
So
then again, I don't run this.
now
I give it,
we can break the positive rating system. I have instituted a rule where you can give negative stars if a match is just, or if a main event is just that bad. You can give negative stars, but you can't go over 5. Or not stars, spots of tea. Negative stars, negative spots of tea.
I was about to say, that'd be
Depends
like
on the show.
That'd be almost like, sugarless tea.
So,
yeah,
or uncaffeinated, that's what I do.
I'll give it like a 3 spots of tea. It would probably be a 4, but I think the whole Isla Dawn thing just what.
Well, you can break it into quarters. You can do like 3.5, 3 3/4.
Oh,
or just 3.
3.5 spots of tea. There you go. That seems fair.
That's fair. What about you, Jerry?
For this main event, I already had in my head who was going to win the match. But even then, it was very well contested. It actually kept me enthralled the entire time. So I'm actually going to say, I'm going to give it 3.5. I'm going to give it a 3.5 star, 3.5 spots of tea.
So for me, this match was just fucking great.
Yeah.
Throw out the story. The story here is the winner of this match gets to vie to be the very first ever tag team champions. So you don't need any other story. The match itself was great.
Yeah.
And it comes off of a really solid show. I'm actually going to go higher than that. I'm going to go 3 3/4. 3.75 spots of tea. I really enjoyed this, and that's hard to say coming off of a really great episode of NXT, even though the main event was very middle of the road.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm going to go 3 3/4. I'll be the high guy on this one. Yeah, we get that a lot. We get that a lot, believe it or not, even though we're not allowed. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, that brings us to the end of this show. So we want to remind everybody that we've got the preview and prediction show for NXT UK Takeover Blackpool coming up next. That'll be me and the General here. We should also have the Excalibur Martinell Stone. We should have the Duchess Cindy Gonzalez. We should have
the Simple Man Noah Foster. And also, I can't remember what his nickname is going to be, but we should have the Big G, Jeff Hiltel. And that'll be the panel for predictions. Unless something happens, we might... Card subject to change.
Card subject to change. It is...
I might be on here again, is what they're saying.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got backups just in case. So if you think the NXT UK brand is boring, I mean, look how many people of the NXT UK universe that are also a part of the No DQ universe want to talk about it and do predictions. I mean, I'm just saying. NXT UK is getting to be a point to where you're actually missing something if you're not watching. So if this is all you watch, I highly recommend starting to watch the shows too.
And if you want to be where James is right now on the television screen but behind us, we have our ways of us actually contacting us, naturally.
Yep, if you want to be up here, just find us on Twitter, get in our DMs. You can find me, go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to go to Twitter and look me up, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. The R stands for restricted. You can also find this gentleman on Twitter.
No DQ General, but I also have a group on Facebook called Armbar. All caps, ARMBAR, exclamation point.
Oh, damn it. I died. Oh, damn it. I wasn't ready.
All caps, ARMBAR, exclamation point. There we go. We want to include you. I didn't know if you remembered or not. I figured if you didn't remember, you wouldn't. But then you got bummed. I'm like, oh, let's just do it again.
What do you have to plug?
Where can they find you?
You can find me all sorts of places. You can find me on Twitter at jhebertside95. You can also subscribe to my main YouTube account, which is youtube.com/user/jhebertside95. That's JHEBERTSIDE 95. You can also check my CAW League out, which is based off of WWE 2K14. We are going to be hosting our next mega event sometime around March 3rd, right at the start of WrestleMania, like the month. We're going to have our first ever big Omega event, Immortal. So that's youtube.com/user/WYW Pride. That is Weymouth Youth Wrestling. Go check it out.
Awesome.
So that brings us to the end of this episode of the NXT party for NXT UK episode number 23. Up next will be episode number 24, so we look forward to seeing you then. Catch us next week for the What's NXT, for hopefully, please God, the single episode of the NXT party per week from that point on. I hope. In the interim, catch us on the predictions for NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool, and also the review show, which, like I said, hopefully we should have the King of No DQ on the big screen. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, yes.
So that should be awesome.
It is in the works.
So, I am, of course, Stefan Osborne, the Rated R reviewer, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter, and our guest tonight was
the Archangel, James Hebert.
The Archangel.
Always a pleasure having you on here, even though Stephanie could never remember your name.
James Hebert. I've got James Hebert, but we always lead in with the nickname.
Yeah.
So for the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, for the General Jerry Slaughter, for the Archangel, James Hebert. Thanks for having a spot of NXT with us, and we will see you NXT time. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the NXT Party. I am, of course, your host, the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, joined as always by the General Jerry Slaughter.
Good evening, wrestling fans.
Tonight we have two special guests. We have returning guests. We've got James Hebert. He is the Archangel.
Yes.
And we've got the Simple Man, Noah. Noah Foster, how are you doing?
Doing very well. How are y'all tonight?
Superb.
Very, very good. We have had 24 episodes of NXT UK, and we are finally at a pinnacle. This is the go-home show. We're doing episode number 24. That's the review tonight. This is the go-home show for the very first ever pay-per-view, NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. And that is this Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific. And we will not be watching it live. We'll be watching it later.
Yep.
And doing the review. It's just going to be me and Jerry doing the review for Blackpool, unless we have some people that are up. We've got guests that come on all the time. So guys, if you want to do it with us and you're up at that hour and have seen it, give us a call on Skype.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Otherwise, the aforementioned review that we talked about in episode 23, and probably talked about it on What's NXT.
Yeah.
It's just going to be me and Jerry, looks like. So, I'm still looking forward to Blackpool.
Oh, yes.
So hard, especially after this show. We finally got our 5th match.
Yep. I kept on saying it was going to be a 4-match card, but it looks like we're going to have a 5th match, and it's one that's been brewing for a little bit, so it's actually pretty cool. So.
Well, before we get into the show, I do want to remind everybody that immediately after this show goes live, we will have the NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool predictions video for NoDQ.com. God, that's a lot of fucking shit to say. There is going to be a lot of shit to say, though.
You're starting to sound like a seeing eye chart.
We're going to have 6 of us motherfuckers doing predictions, and you're going to see some common faces here. I know Noah's going to be doing predictions. James Hebert, I believe, is our gracious backup, because with 4 guests, bound to have somebody not be able to do it at the last minute. So, yeah, we're going to have 6 of us. It's going to be fun. I look forward to that. But before we get there, we have got the go-home show.
Yep.
Let's start with you, Noah. What did you think about this show?
It drove a lot of points. We finally got our card fully built. It was an incredible main event that definitely gave us some thoughts to think about for at least two of the matches. I thought it was a great show overall.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, James?
I agree with Noah. I thought that the show really kind of built up the full card, the entire body of the card, and an absolutely superb main event, and some good matches in between here and there.
Now, general.
That was a good show.
Oh, for me, like the matches were great naturally, but then also we had some great video packages too, especially the one with Tony Storm and Rhea Ripley.
Oh, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed. I
Ripley
thoroughly
was
enjoyed
great.
that video package.
Fellas, get out your umbrellas because I'm going to piss on your parade. Half of this show was great. The other half of this show was a 25-minute match that did not need to be 25 minutes. That could have been a 15-minute match, and you could have had a 4-match card on this hour-long go-home show. You could have put, for God's sakes, you could have put Isla Dawn versus Jenny on this card. Apparently we're not going to get it at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. We're not going to get it on Saturday unless it's a dark match, or if it's a match that happens without us knowing going in. We might go ahead and do predictions for that just in case it happens. We could have had another match. We could have had another segment. Could have had something in the 10 minutes that this match had that it didn't need.
I was about to say the intros were pretty long in that thing.
But still only 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, the first half of this show was a great go-home show, building towards NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. Building towards Blackpool.
There you go.
But I disagree on the main event. I'm probably going to be the lowball guy when it comes to rating that. But we will get there.
Yes.
First, we have Ligero versus Joseph Connors.
Joseph Connors. Yeah. Joseph Connors actually looks a lot cooler now because he got rid of those like flamboyant, almost vanilla ice-like jackets, and now he's now he's wearing this really like sweet ass. I'm not sure it was denim or what, but he looked like badass coming out.
Extremely worn denim. Like this is something that he or somebody else has owned for a while. I suppose there's probably a way to fake that brand new, but great looking gear compared to him as a walking, talking, living, breathing logo for NXT UK. So this I really liked. It was really understated. It looked great for him as opposed to that. Anything's great, I guess.
And Ligero with the green and purple.
You know what? That green was a really cool green.
Yeah, it was.
And with the glow that he had during his entrance because of the lights, that was really cool. Reminiscent of some Naomi
It reminded me of something out of like DC Comics, like he was like doing like a little Joker homage.
That's one of the things you brought.
The purple was too blue for Joker for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like he was doing Joker, but the green was perfect for a Joker.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough about the wardrobe. The match was extremely fun.
Yeah.
For me, it kind of ended out of fucking nowhere. Like, there was a completely anticlimactic ending. But up until that point, it was a fun match. What do you think about this match, James?
I thought the match was actually really fun. It does seem anticlimactic, excuse me. Because you see, like, tornado DDTs pulled off all the time, but in this case, it's Ligero's finish, so I was honestly fine with it. I was just kind of annoyed because I feel like Joseph Connors needed this win more than Ligero did. That's just me.
I disagree, but go on.
I thought this match was super fun.
It's something that he and I both disagreed on, like, or disagreeing on, because I felt the same way. I thought Joseph Connors needed this win, but he thought Ligero did. So
I feel like Joseph Connors hasn't had any singles losses.
Yeah,
Ligero has, so Ligero needs a win back. Joseph Connors right now is coming off of the promos and whatnot. He looks good. He's held the momentum that he's had since his previous singles win, which was in a legitimate feud with his former tag team partner. Yeah. I mean, how much better could you get? It was Saxon Huxley, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, this is really.
Bring that up. Yeah,
I think they had a loss because of Saxon Huxley as a tag team.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is his first loss. I think he can take it.
Yeah.
But Ligero, to me, needed the win more than Saxon Hug or not Saxon. More
Miller,
than Joseph Connors.
Miller, your thoughts on this? Or like, did Ligero need to win, or did Joseph Connors?
I feel like, again, this is a rebranding of Joseph Connors, so necessarily you don't want to give him a win out of the gate. I feel like that he and Ligero are going to go for another match. In my opinion, Ligero did need this as well because you are trying to build more momentum for this guy who could potentially challenge the NXT UK champion. I thought the outcome was okay.
So I've got a few notes for this match. Just the initial takeover of the match by Connors was real simple. Ligero doing his leapy frog stuff over the top rope and in between everything else. They end up on the apron and Connors is just like, fuck it. He pushes him right into the ring post.
Yeah.
And then this is where he takes over, does his heel shtick. Of course, Ligero comes back, but he comes at him at one point into the corner. He's running in, and Connors counters by just this awesome-looking double stomp to the chest.
That's kind of like, I won't say woke me up, but that's when I was like, hey now.
Well, he puts both his feet into his chest, and then Ligero holds on, and then he stomps him into the ground. It was great. And then the end just comes out of nowhere. Ligero does his springboard DDT, and I was like, wait, what? And yeah, it had been a 3 count. I was like, okay, back up. How did that happen? He's like, same way he always gets the pin. Springboard DDT, sure enough. But I was like, you know, what turnaround in the match led to that? But there really wasn't any. He just kind of hit it out of, like...
I think that was the whole idea of it. Like, the fact that they wanted to, like... Because I thought Joseph Connors was going to kick out. I really did. But that's why I didn't really say... That's why I didn't really say anything about it.
I thought so too, but, like... You don't do that move out of nowhere for the pinfall. You could do an RKO out of nowhere, or like Diamond Dallas Page used to do. It was originally the Diamond Cutter could be put on you from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? It was originally the Diamond Cutter out of nowhere. You could see that coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But his move, no. He has to run to the ropes, spring off the middle, come back, turn around, and fucking grab you for a DDT.
That's kind of like managers. Eventually, people are going to stop trying to suplex him.
There wasn't even a setup move to like knock him silly for a second. Like,
Stun Dog Millionaire finish.
So that was that. I mean, it was a fun match. I think it was cut short by the fact that the Gallus versus British Strong Style match was 25 minutes. I think that's what happened. They're like, this is really fun and everything.
They're like, wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. The wrap it up button. Wrap it up, B. So up next we've got Radzi. He's in the back, and he's got James Drake and Zach Gibson. And initially, I thought,
James Drake can talk.
there we go.
Originally, I thought he had him out of order because it looks like this: I'm Radzi, and he's James Drake, and Noah is Zach Gibson. In that order, I'm like,
that was the order.
He's going to have to stretch an awful long way for Zach Gibson to do this whole promo.
Yeah.
No. First person who gets to talk, James Drake. Out of nowhere, he's got a voice. And he doesn't say much. What did he say? Something about they're undefeated and they deserve their shot.
Yeah. They both pretty much say the same thing, but just Zach goes on more and more about it.
He's the promo guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
easily. It's not even close. I mean, Gibson is obviously my from this team.
What'd you get from this interview, Noah?
I get that they truly believe that they are the best, and they're going to rub it in everyone's face, whether it's on TV or Facebook Live, apparently. And they truly believe they're going to become the first NXT UK Tag Team Champions.
The number one.
Yeah, like
Liverpool's number one.
I love the gimmick of Gibson. The funniest thing was when he mentioned Facebook Live, oh God, they're really shoving this down everybody's throats like they did Tout all those years ago, aren't they? Everyone's got to do a Facebook Live.
Well, Tout was an upstart. Facebook is pretty well cemented in its spot now. I think it's outlived what MySpace did and everything else. So
yeah, definitely.
Until the next level of that kind of social media happens, where it's beyond a web page or on your phone,
holograms,
shit like that, then Facebook will probably be around a while. So it's not a bad venue. I mean, I know it got relatively low views, but Mixed Max Challenge did okay on Facebook Watch.
Numbers.
So
numbers.
it's whatever, or Twitter. Either one would have worked.
So probably got more views than the XFL.
For me, it would be better on YouTube because I can do it on my TV.
It definitely will get more views than the XFL. That's not a question. But the question for me is, do they actually do this Facebook Live thing with Gibson and Drake? Because if they did, I'm curious and want to see it.
There's probably clips of it on WWE's YouTube channel.
Probably.
I'll go check it out.
Something.
So
yeah, I'm gonna go check it out then.
Up next, we get a video package, and in it, basically what I called last episode for episode 23 when we did the review with James. Since we got a video promo or a video package promo for Eddie Dennis, we were going to get one for Dave Mastiff. So we got one for Dave Mastiff. I'm going to be 100% honest with everybody out there in the galaxy. I fast forwarded through it. I found the end of it, and I was like, I'm sure it was a great video package, but
he's like, this is a long commercial. Like, no, that's a Dave Mastiff video package. It's like, oh.
I thought it was still a hype commercial for the NXT UK takeover Black.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Black,
yeah. No, it definitely wasn't. But this promo basically is for Dave Mastiff. He was just he was a lot like Eddie Dennis, but the biggest difference is he was just more stern and calm when he was doing his promo delivery, as opposed to Eddie Dennis, who was just flat out crazy.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it looked like towards the end, like where we actually picked up at, his demeanor really hadn't changed much. He was still talking in a very stern voice and everything, but he wasn't losing his cool like Eddie Dennis was in his promo. So where you have like the crazy monster out of Eddie Dennis, you have like pretty much the silent and strong one coming out of Mastiff at this point.
Now, Noah, did you watch the promo, Noah?
Yeah, I did. He was pushing the point that Eddie Dennis thinks I don't have a killer instinct. You're gonna see soon enough, and instead of looking at like yourself in the mirror, you should really be looking towards me more. You made this personal, and we'll see what they both bring on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So up next, we get number 2 match of a 3-match card, and it's Travis Banks versus Tyson T-Bone. So we don't get a women's match on the Go Home show,
which kind of threw me. It really did, because I was expecting at least one women's match.
Like I said, we could have had Jenny versus Isla Dawn, but we had to have a 25-minute main event.
They're saving it. I don't know why.
So
it's going to be like an after feud, but we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, probably. It's
so
probably going to be an after feud.
As soon as we saw that it was Tyson T-Bone against Travis Banks, we pretty much knew that Banks was winning. They're building him up for the match against Devlin. So Tyson T-Bone's going to do what he does best. He's going to lose.
I was pretty much already had in the frame of mind that Devlin was going to show up, but he showed up in such a creative way
during the match.
Yeah, during the match. But at the same time, the fact that was it Vic Joseph that screamed, "That's not Travis Banks"?
Oh my God! So Devlin comes out with that cowl that Travis Banks wears of the Australian flag, or some variation of, and Vic Joseph is like, "That's not Travis Banks." I'm like, "Well, obviously he's in the fucking ring right now." Dummy.
What do you want about Vic? Like, yeah, no shit, it's not Travis Banks. That's what I said too. I'm like, you're making like, you're waffling here.
Oh, dude, that was the laugh out loud moment of the night, probably for me.
Mm-hmm.
She had to say something after Nigel.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm the lead commentator. Let me get my shine here.
So before that, I do have some notes. Huxley was a minor part of this match. Obviously, it didn't work out, but he went for some distractions. And early on, that's how T-Bone got sort of the upper hand for a minute.
Yeah.
Best move I've seen out of T-Bone since I saw him debut happened in this match, and it was just a Beal, but it was like halfway across the fucking ring, so it was pretty impressive looking. But other than that, it was Travis Banks kind of doing what Devlin does. You know, Devlin's greatest hits.
Yeah.
Kind of Travis Banks' greatest hits. Only we didn't get to see him do the drop kick through the rope and skin the cat and run off the ropes and do a suicide dive because it's not a tag match.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, that's
I was about to say, that's
not Kenny Williams.
Yeah, that's Kenny Williams.
My bad.
We saw pretty much what we expect out of Travis Banks a lot, which is a bunch of kicks. Like
Kiwi buzzsaw. Yeah.
Yeah, slice of heaven, all that stuff.
Well,
the funniest thing,
the sit down kicks look kind of weak to me, but that may have just been the fact that he didn't have as much impact on them as he usually does. There wasn't that smacking.
Them.
Well, what I always like is that spring up coup de grace that he does in the corner.
Yeah.
On a seated.
That's good.
But about halfway through the match, Jordan Devlin comes out, and then we end up with the little slice of heaven, or the slice of heaven.
Yeah.
Which is spring off the corner, Trouble in Paradise, basically.
Yeah.
So Banks gets the win, and then Devlin comes in, of course, attacks, and then Banks kind of fends it off, and then Devlin scurries away, and
because he went for that slice of heaven again, and like Devlin rolled out of the ring, so.
Yeah, poor Tyson T-Bone can't ever get a win, can he?
Not with a partner, not with... Yeah,
he had two different guys to distract this motherfucker, and he still couldn't get the Duke here. Like, this dude is looking like a jabroni by episode. It's actually kind of concerning.
He really, really should have had the pinfall after the Devlin distraction.
Yeah.
But he couldn't even capitalize on that. The only time I've ever seen him have an opportunity for a pinfall in a match was that sick-looking punch, that KO punch that he did. And I can't remember who it was, but he had him laid out forever. It might have been Trent Seven.
I think it was.
Had him laid out for a good minute, and even the commentary, even as dumb as Vic Joseph and Nigel can be, even they're like, why isn't he pinning him?
Yep.
He's knocked out cold. What is wrong with this guy? So yeah, I think Tyson T-Bone is perpetually stuck in loser purgatory.
Yep.
Yeah, like legitimately, what the heck is happening?
So up next, we get basically the only women we get on the show at all is this video promo pack for Rhea Ripley versus Toni Storm at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool.
You're getting better at that.
It's getting more smooth.
Yes, it is.
I am really looking forward to this match, and not only because I love Rhea Ripley, but Toni Storm is pretty good.
Yeah.
Even with the bangs.
The bangs.
Get the hair again.
The bangs. I love this promo because, again, it's just, I don't know what it was, but like every single NXT UK promo, they bring something different to the table, and I like that they're trying to make this more of a different brand than all the other brands, especially with the video packages. And this really hyped up the feud and the match between Storm and Ripley this Sunday. Or Saturday.
Saturday.
I'm so used to it. Saturday.
Yeah,
Saturday.
Right.
Whenever you hear the word takeover, just think of Saturday. But I completely agree with you, sir. Both women, they told their story for their characters. They told their story for their journeys. I'm very looking forward to this match. And we'll see whether it's Tony time or Rhea rips her apart.
I'm stoked for the match regardless. Like, I've been waiting for like the rematch anyway because I knew it was going to happen because there's really nobody else stepping up to Rhea Ripley at this point. Like, you have all these other like female wrestlers pretty much feuding against each other at this point, and the only person really focusing on the gold right now is Toni Storm.
Well, nobody's credible until Jenny gets the win over Isla Dawn.
Yeah. Then
Jenny will be credible and she'll go for the title. Hopefully that doesn't mean that Toni Storm is coming away with the victory.
You may have just told the future.
Or could she could be interjected into a triple threat match or whatever else could happen at that point.
Bullshit, man. Yeah. Okay, so that's true. It could end up being a triple threat.
Yep.
So you can add an extra heel to that.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get to the main event, the unnecessarily long main event, we have confirmation of the fifth match, the final, I believe, well, I guess.
Yeah,
this is the take-home episode.
Yep.
The fifth and final match for NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. That is going to be, as we alluded to, Travis Banks versus Jordan Devlin.
Which is going to be sick. These guys are going to have a hell of a match, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised if that opens up the show.
Of course it's going to open the show. What else is going to open the show?
The tag team title match? You kidding me?
I mean,
3 of the 5 matches
match
are for championships, and the other match is going to be a no disqualification between the 2 biggest guys.
I feel like to get the crowd hyped up, you would have to go with the Jordan Devlin Travis Banks match because you want to start the show off with 2 like hybrid mat technician and high flyer kind of wrestlers.
And then you bring them down with the big guys.
No disqualification match.
Yep.
Then you bring them back up for the tag titles.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring them down for the women's title because Rhea Ripley is the inevitable. She's going to put on a lot of holds.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I'm not looking forward to that match. So Rhea Ripley, I mean, she's this badass heel, and she's got those spots. She's got those face spots. She started out as a face.
Yeah.
But she's going to be doing a lot of rest holds, man, and it's a bummer.
I see a lot more posturing out of her, almost like Pete Dunne. You know, a lot of shrugs or a lot of, head tilts or just bad mouthing and everything. So it's gonna be more a lot more verbal, I think, in this one too. So
well, we're gonna get into all of that and more soon enough when we do the predictions video, and that's coming up after this.
On topic of the Rhea Ripley Pete Dunne comparison, I saw a meme on Facebook where somebody just typed in, I think it was on an ODQ group, "Congratulations to Pete Dunne for both winning the UK Championship and the UK Women's Championship." And it was just, it was Pete Dunne side by side with Rhea Ripley. I'm like, you fucking asshole.
Well, that's memes for you. The internet,
everybody. The internet, yes.
If it's on the interwebs, it's got to be true.
So, we are on to the main event, which was given just under half of this show. And like Jerry said, very long intros, because not only we got Gallus all in one, but of course they're led by Joe, and Joe is slow doing everything, including walking to the ring.
So Joe's just like dun 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 dun.
I know you can't complain too much because you love their theme.
That's true, but I still fast forwarded through the intros.
Yeah.
True.
And then we got Mustache Mountain and then Pete Dunne. Although Mustache Mountain did stop short, they stood at the stage, so we didn't have to wait for them to come to the ring, so that wasn't too bad. But then we had a 25-minute fucking match. And I took 0 notes. Going into watching this show, Noah had already told me that he took 3 pages of notes. So I'm going to turn the show over to Mr. Noah Foster.
Oh, jeez.
Tell us about this match, Noah.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, tell us about this match.
I thought it was a really good match, considering what I've seen already out of British Strong Style when they faced Undisputed Era and when they faced Team ICW back in Fair Loading 11. With that, this was definitely more of a match of the Battle of Nations and a feeling out process. You had multiple back and forth between pairs. It started off with Trent Seven and Joe Coffey, and you had a few lockups, some test of strengths, and then Joe, of course, being the overpowered individual, he comes into play. We get a cover, and then at some point, what was it? Tyler Bate came in, and man, strength of this guy and the endurance.
Yeah, big strong boys.
That neck strain looked brutal. Even the point where Coffey had his own weight on Tyler. I'm surprised that his shoulders didn't go down during that, but he got a couple of falls during that. But of course, Tyler Bate, what's he going to do? He's going to overpower him at one point, almost putting Joe down. But Joe, he has to be the strongest guy put over in this match.
Yep.
So, of course, he fights back. And we get a short little flurry. There was attempted hit to the knees, and then he works Tyler Bates' arm. We had a couple of standoffs here, too. So it was just, like I said, a lot of back and forth. I feel like the match really picked up after the first brawl where all 6 men were just beating the daylights out of each other.
The referee just kind of threw his arms up and said, just
well, to preface that, there was a point early on in the match where you had all 6 men in the ring, and the referee fairly successfully kept them at bay and eventually got them back into their corners.
It was a teaser of things to come.
But this was the second time, and finally the ref was just like, do what the fuck you want. Just at one point, I thought he went to call for the bell.
I don't care.
But he didn't.
The Brits like to watch you fight. Go ahead. So, and then of course, eventually you got Pete Dunne who gets control. There's joint manipulations. You think there's a surfboard. Meh. What does he do? He stomps the guy's knees into the freaking
that was like one of the greatest parts of the match where he looked like he was going to go for that surfboard stretch, kind of shrugs, goes like
and
this,
then just whop off.
just stomp him up with the knees.
But you know it's going to be painful.
Yep.
And then tag comes in for Trent. We get a power slam cover. There were a lot of tags in this match. Tag and debate led to some what was it? Tag team dynamics between Mustache Mountain, where he did the crazy jump off his shoulders into like a corkscrew pin combination.
Yeah.
There was a scout for that. Irish whip with Wolfgang. There was suplexes. Joe, of course, came into play. Wolfgang was working the back. Trent took a lot of punishment in this match, so kudos to him.
Well,
he was stuck in the
there's that one
Gallows
spot
corner for a while.
There was that one spot. Like I thought it looked, pretty good initially, but then like we watched it again. It's when Trent Seven got chucked out, more or less kicked out of the ring by Wolfgang, and hit his head on the
barricade.
Yeah, on the barricade.
He's a third of the way from one rope to the other. So he's got a third of the ring to go to get kicked out through the ropes. And then falls to the outside, lands on his feet, and throws himself into the barricade, shoulder first.
Yeah, that was
wicked sell for it. I mean, just the slap, like you could hear, like it was a bad looking move, but it was also bad that it looked like he threw himself into the barricade. Like, completely obvious.
Commentators were putting that over. Oh, nasty landing.
Yeah,
well, there was a spot where they went for a replay, and Jerry thought that they were going to show it to us again, and I'm like, they're not going to show that again.
No, they showed him getting chucked into the steps.
Yeah, instead by Joe. But continue, Noah.
He was stuck in several holes. There was a double underhook, butterfly flow, and then eventually they transitioned Trent into double nerve hold. There was some snap suplexes. I think Mark pulled off a snap suplex at one point. And then there was some miscommunication between Mark and Wolfgang.
There's a couple spots of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was I think the clothesline spot, and then I think one of them went for a moonsault and literally hit the other guy.
Yeah, Wolfgang went for the moonsault.
Yeah.
So yeah,
eventually ended up one of them being planted to a cover, kick out. Again, there was more covers than I could count in this match.
I tell you, there's one move. There was one move in this match that I loved that I didn't make note of because I knew I'd remember it. And Mustache Mountain and Pete Dunne did a triple team move. I think Pete Dunne landed what he could of a backstabber to the top of the neck and head. Trent Seven had a belly to back drop, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, or maybe and then the other one of them did a power bomb with the legs.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most graceful looking move, but the idea behind it struck me. I liked it.
It hit every spot pretty much at that point. So.
Yeah. And then multiple times Pete Dunne countered Gallus' like top of the rope maneuvers, his arm moves into triangles.
That was fun.
Can I talk about this for
absolutely. Take it away.
Dude, these spots by Pete Dunne were awesome. Like to make him look like an absolute killer as a champion, they did their job in this match, dude. He got all three of them in different variations of submissions. Like, he countered the Swanton into an armbar, which looked freaking amazing. It's super smooth on both Wolfgang and Pete Dunne's part.
Yep.
Like, it was flawless. And obviously the other two submissions before that were also flawless.
Yeah,
like,
he countered...
Pete Dunne looked amazing.
Wolfgang looked like he was going to do an elbow drop straight to Pete Dunne's crotch.
It was Mark Coffey.
Was it Mark? Okay.
It was Mark Coffey.
And he ended up in a triangle for his efforts.
Mark Coffey was like, I think the first one, and then Wolfgang was the second. But you're right, those transitions into several different submission moves. Pete Dunne, the versatility of this guy is freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, he's amazing, dude. Like, I honestly, like, when I did not know who he was until I saw him in WCPW, and I thought, this guy is going to be a major star. And lo and behold, like 3 years later, here he is, a major star.
Well, no, 1 year later, and then 2 years later, he's almost like the longest Well, he is the longest rating champion in modern
In
history at
modern
this point.
WWE, correct.
He is the longest. Yep.
600 days.
600 fucking days, man. God.
Insane, dude.
Damn.
And he earned it, and he's definitely proven it.
Well, that was the thought that was going through my head earlier when I actually heard about the whole 600 days thing. I was like, what's the better testament for a champion? Is it like the length of the reign, or how many defenses they actually made?
Both.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's both. I think it's both.
There's
Yeah.
like some division there to come up with a solid number, but yeah.
So that's the thing with me, but at the same time, like, he's still doing like more defenses than a certain Universal Champion that we're not going to talk about.
However, in the eternal words of Owen Hart, enough is enough,
and
it's time for a change. And I think the inaugural pay-per-view is where you do it.
Yep.
I think this is going to sway my decision later when we get to the main event of the predictions episode, but I won't go into that just yet. This match goes on for a little bit longer, and then finally we end up with Tyler Bate and Joe Coffey in the ring, and Joe goes for his, let me get this right, All Raw Best for the Bells. He goes for it right-handed, gets blocked, double arm block. Goes for it left-handed, gets double arm block. Then Tyler Bate goes for his Peter Pan spring off the ropes, comes back, clocked. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
All Raw Best for the Bells.
Bate,
Worst name for the best executed discus lariat.
Yeah.
Before we say farewell to this match, one spot I do want to talk about, that spiral tap. The spiral tap.
Oh, yes.
We'd be doing that in injustice if we didn't talk about that spiral tap that Tyler Bate was able to do onto everybody. That was insane.
Like, that's something like I knew it going into this match that, like, if there was going to be a high spot in the match in any way, shape, or form, it was going to come out of Travis Bate.
It was the only one in a 25-minute match.
Yes.
Tyler Bate, and there was actually another that got the crowd. The crowd got hot like 2 or 3 times during this match when all men were like down, but another long turn standing spot, and shout out to NXT TakeOver Chicago. What you get, folks, you got an airplane spin. This one went for like 25 seconds.
Oh my lord,
the crowd gave an airplane spin a standing ovation.
Yeah.
What fucking decade are we in?
It was crazy, dude. It was amazing.
A standing O for that.
Not only when he was done after slamming into the mat, it was beautiful.
Not only that, but right after the standing ovation, they chant, "Big strong boys, big strong boys, big strong boys."
Yeah.
But he's not big and strong. Most wrestlers can lift their opponents up at a fireman's carry and then spin around.
I think it was the fact of how long he did it, and that's why they were giving the standing ovation.
A time. Not so much more of the move, because who else does spin? You got Star with the spin.
Yeah, but he's a heel, so he can't do it right now.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't mean he still don't pull it out, but different brand. But anyway, yeah. And pretty much you kind of just fast forward to the end of the match because, again, what you got? Back and forth, back and forth. There was counters, there was strikes. Beat done, of course, kicking the crap out of everybody. And you basically fast forward to the ending sequence, and Gallus with the win.
It was awesome. As you said, Stefan, that transition into the freaking lariat by Joe Coffey was awesome.
Yeah, and he clocked him.
Like I said, best executed discus lariat right now, maybe that I've ever seen. Just because something about how he does it makes it look more powerful than you know it really is.
Yeah.
Just something about it. But that gets us to the end of the main event finally.
Yeah.
Because this was such a long match. Oh my God.
25 minutes, 23 seconds.
You would think a Pete Dunne match wouldn't make me groan like that, but thank God it's going to be a one-on-one match at NXTea UK TakeOver Blackpool on Saturday. So,
yeah, different circumstances.
Around these parts, we rate the main event using T.
5 spots of it.
5 spots of T. So I didn't flip a coin before, so I'm just going to randomly pick the guy right next to me. James Hebert, as one of our special guests, let's give you the honors. What is your ranking for this main event?
5 spots of T.
I thought that this match was honestly, I really enjoyed it a lot. It was 4.25 or quarter spots of tea for me. I really enjoyed this match, like from beginning to end. To be honest, I thought that British Strong Style looked strong in defeat, and I thought Gallus looked amazing in the win and how the win came about. So I thought it was a really well put together match and another one of British Strong Style's better matches.
Okay. All right. Simple Man, Mr. Noah. Where do you rank this main event?
This match was our go home. You wanted to be hyped and build up for NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. And this helped tell us how to be excited for two matches, the tag team and the title. All 6 men brought it. All 6 men were tested. All 6 men showed off their skills. Gallus went over strong. The British Strong Style, I think, wasn't hurt. The only hindrance was how freaking long it was. It's 4.5 spots for me.
For me, it was pretty much your standard 6-man tag. It really was. It it didn't have to be as long as it needed to be, and B, we already had that feeling that Gallus had to win and Joe had to get the pinfall. Simple as that. Because if you're going into the pay-per-view like this, you want the competitor against for the world the championship to actually come out looking strong.
But you don't want him to pin Pete Dunne.
Yeah, that's something I kept on telling myself, is that I wanted him to pin Pete Dunne, but I was like, but him pinning Tyler Bate actually made a little more sense. And also, it added a little bit of, tension. The fact that Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, they took a lot of punishment in this match, especially towards the end and everything. So that's gonna to be a whole other story for Zach Gibson and James Drake. Will they take advantage of any kind of injuries or anything that may have occurred in this match? But at the same time, still just not really middle of the road, but a little bit higher, because I like the end and I like the stare off between Coffee and Pete Dunne at the end, because Pete Dunne, you can actually kind of see, he sees Coffee is kind of a threat now.
He's a little bit annoyed, and don't really see Pete Dunne get annoyed.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go lower to these guys, but I'm gonna go 3 3/4. It's not exactly a 4-star match in my opinion, but 3 3/4, that seems more than fair especially for the length of the match.
Somebody help me out. Was there a story in this match?
I feel like they definitely told multiple stories. I don't think there was one.
There were so many stories going
though.
into this match. I will grant anybody that.
Yeah.
You've got Gallus versus everybody, let alone Gallus versus British Strong Style, let alone Gallus versus Mustache Mountain and Joe Coffey versus Pete Dunne. Multiple stories going into this match.
Yeah.
In this match, somebody help me. Did they tell any stories? Anything?
I feel like as far as the story itself, it would probably have
came to be.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. And like Jerry said, this is just a little bit above middle of the road. So I would give this as a 15-minute main event. I would probably give this maybe 3.5, 3.25, or 3 3/4. But I'm taking a half. Normally I only give and take a quarter star. I'm taking a half a star for the additional 5 or 10 minutes that this match did not need at all. I'm going to land somewhere around, I'll be generous, I'm going to give this 3 1/4.
I was about to say, because that's one of the issues I had. The fact that, yeah, they had those standoff moments, but at the same time, we got it after the first one, okay? It's they didn't need a second standoff, and then the third one just broke down into the brawl, and we're like.
So there's a story. The ref, getting order during the first one, and then during the second one, he finally gives up. But there's no room in my rating system for a story about the referee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I draw the line there. 3 1/4, and that's as high as I'll go. They should be glad I don't give it 3, because this was, just so much longer than it needed to be, and anybody could have stood to have that 5 or 10 minute match.
Yeah.
Anybody. Especially, like I said, Jenny and Isla Dawn. Because if we're not getting that as a surprise match at TakeOver, then...
I think they don't want to take away any heat from the women's title match, though, either.
Then put it on first.
Them most likely are going to put that match on the episode after Blackpool. I guarantee you, they're probably
It'll be the dark match one of the dark matches
Yeah,
that they play on the episode. Yeah.
And inexplicably, it'll be the main event for the first NXT UK afterwards.
Yeah, I wonder whether or not this is going to be used to build, like you said, Stefan, Jenny as a viable competitor to the NXT UK Women's Championship, or is Deonna Purrazzo and Tony Storm going to somehow be involved in this? Now we're going to get like a tag team feud and a rebranding of the faction of Cultura from Progress. Because, again, NXT UK, it likes to rewrite and use a lot of storylines from other British wrestling promotions that we work with, Progress included.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you this much. I mean, anybody better than Isla Dawn's even up with Jenny, who's fine by me. I'm not a fan of Isla Dawn anyway.
Yeah.
And let's not forget how deep their women's division is. You have others as well. Zaya Brookside, Charlie Morgan, Killer Kelly. There's a lot of potential competition out there for the title. It'll be interesting to see where they go after TakeOver.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to TakeOver. More so right now, I'm looking forward to doing our predictions video for TakeOver. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be the biggest panel in No DQ history, so I'm really looking forward to it. And if you'd like to join us on a future episode of the NXT party and be on the big screen like our friends James and Noah here, you can find me on Twitter. Just go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you'd just like to go to Twitter and find me, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. The R stands for restricted. And you can also find this gentleman on Twitter.
No DQ General. Plus, I also have my group on Facebook, Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point. And if you want to find, I think all four of us are in the group at this point.
Yep.
Just look up any of us and we'll go ahead and get you in the group.
All right. And Mr. Hebert, how do we find you?
You guys can follow me on YouTube and Twitter. They're both jhebertside95, youtube.com/user/jhebertside95. That's JHEBERTSIDE 95. And with Twitter, that's at jhebertside95. You can also check out my CAW Wrestling League show, Weymouth Youth Wrestling, which you can find on youtube.com/user/WYW Make sure you check that out. We are going to be releasing our biggest show of the year, Immortal, on March 3rd. So be ready for that one.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I'm subscribed, so I'll be ready. And Noah, where can we find you?
You want to talk wrestling, live, or video games for that matter? Look me up, nodq.com/Noah. You want monthly predictions, monthly WrestleCrate unboxings, look at my YouTube channel, just search Simple Noah. And as always, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, support No DQ, buy a shirt. And as always, folks, support your wrestling outlets, both big and small, and let's grow this wrestling community together.
Simple as that. Yes!
Oh, he said his catchphrase!
Noah's got a catchphrase.
But yeah, as Noah said, go to nodq.com/shirts to get all of your No DQ merchandise. And thank you for joining us for this episode number 24, the Go Home episode review of for NXT Party. And we look forward to seeing you on our predictions video, which should be coming up right next, hopefully.
Yep.
And for, let's see, the Archangel, James Hebert.
Yep.
For the Simple Man, Noah Foster. For the General, Jerry Slaughter. I am, of course, Stefan Osborne. Thank you guys for having a spot of NXT with us, and we'll see you NXT time.
Cheerio.
Cheers, mate.